Welcome to the Be Magnetic podcast, where we ignite deep abundance and step into soul-led success without losing joy, freedom, or peace. This is for the woman who is bored, disconnected, and exhausted trying to win a game she doesn't want to play anymore. If your soul is calling for more flow, more ease, more magic, but you're not sure how to get there, get ready to become magnetic and create a life that is as juicy and abundant as you've always dreamed it could be. Hi and welcome back to the Be Magnetic podcast. I'm really excited for us to get into today's episode around how to quantum leap successfully. This episode is for you if you're going through a massive life transition and you feel like you're quantum leaping and you want to make sure it goes into the right direction. I actually recently also went through a massive life transition, actually multiple massive life transitions with turning 30 and then becoming a mom and then like all that stuff. And I was actually really stressing about it. Like this was a very stressful time, like emotionally stressful for me because my inner and outer narrative were like completely different stories. So on the outside, I was like changing, I was like doing all the things and like moving through the motion, but internally I was just like what the F is happening? I was very overwhelmed by the situation. And I was trying to strategize and systemize around it, but I realized eventually that my new life didn't really fit into my old structures. And a part of me like really wanted to keep those old structures because I love them so much and they worked so well. And so I kind of gave that power away by trying to make this new life fit into the old and creating all these stories around how I'm like not good at this, how I can't do this, how my life is over, and like, you know, all this stuff. And so when I realized that actually my new life doesn't fit into my old structures, I was like, yes, girl, like we're calling power back right here, right now. So I did change my narrative. I did change the stories around how I'm a bad mom, how 30 is an age that sucks, how my life is over when I'm 30, like all the stuff that I was telling myself as a result of how overwhelmed I felt with the situation and the life transitions and everything. I changed that narrative. I set new goals and ultimately created a new structure, a new schedule, and I started to build the evidence that things are working with this new structure and that I can still build a beautiful life for myself and my family, although it looks so different right now, and I can find structures that fit into that new life, and that ultimately just because there is something else added to my plate now, I still have time for myself. So here we are. It's a work in progress, but I have worked enough, I feel, to be able to share some of the insights into this. Also, I wanted to expand a little bit on something that I found had been really important for me in the last several years, was to continuously learn new habits and build new structures and systems, because ultimately when we quantum leap, so quantum leap obviously is like we're going through a massive life transition, like something is happening, like something good is happening really quickly. And so when we go through a phase like that, a lot within us, around us, is changing. And so that requires us to respond very thoroughly so that we can actually hold the shifts that are unfolding and not push them away or resist them. I also want to say at this point that quantum leaping isn't something that happens out of nowhere. So almost every quantum leap is an accumulation of tiny decisions and a lot of steps that we took before. Like even when we think about the quantum leap that I went through with having my stepdaughter live with us and like becoming a mom, this wasn't something that just happened. She didn't just like magically appear at my doorstep and like enter into my life. No, we for almost a year worked towards getting her here, right? So we took a lot of action towards visa stuff and all this. So the quantum leap of how my life actually changed through that singular moment of her landing in Germany. It wasn't actually a singular moment, but it was a accumulation of a lot of moments and action and steps that happened beforehand. Just wanted to say that because oftentimes when people talk about quantum leaping, it's like, she made $1 million out of nowhere. Like, no, she worked years dedicatedly towards that. And yeah, like at this time in this place, things fell together. But like, there's been a million things that she's done before that she had to do so that things at this moment in this place could fall together so that she made $1 million in that month, right? So that just being said on quantum leaps. If we go through one though, there is so much unraveling happening. It's like, obviously our external world changes a lot, because if the quantum leap is that you're making a lot of money all of a sudden, for example, or the quantum leap is, like I said, you become a mum, or the quantum leap is that you are saying goodbye to like the masculine way of doing things and you're now entering your feminine era, like externally things are changing. You either have a child there that you need to now take 90% of your attention to, or you have a lot of money in your bank account that needs to go somewhere, or you have a lot of clients that you all of a sudden have to take care of, or you have a lot of free time that you have no idea what to do with. There's always something in your external world that's changing when a quantum leap comes about. But there's also a lot internally changing, because you have these narratives, you have these stories that you have tied to your life, yourself as is, and then your life so drastically changes, and now all of a sudden you had all these stories around who you are and what your business is in the context of what you made before. Now you make so much more. So obviously that kind of gets challenged, and that needs to reshape and change itself. So because there's like so much changing within you and externally, it's not necessarily safe, although it's a good thing, right? Even if we quantum leap towards something, or we're going through a change towards something that we always wanted, so we actually are moving into the right direction, and something massive is manifesting, doesn't necessarily mean it unfolds beautifully. We can go through a beautiful change, and we can actually manifest something that we've wanted for a long time, and it can turn out so wrong because we are not handling the change as well. So, for example, you could then end up manifesting the $1 million month, but you spend everything again because you can't handle the money. You don't know what to do with it. Or when you become a mom, you're like all of a sudden fighting with your partner, fighting with the child all the time because you can't handle that, because you're stressed with this new situation. Or when you're like shifting to more of a feminine approach in business, you are like battling with all these fears of like, now like it's all downhill from here, and so you actually push away all these income opportunities and you no longer make money. For example, this is worst fears come true, but it could happen if you don't learn how to navigate quantum leap successfully. And a big part of navigating quantum leap successfully so that you actually get the outcome that you desire is to learn the new habits that you need to learn in order to thrive in this new environment. And again, this will like specifically looks different depending on what exactly the quantum leap is that you're going through. But if essentially the foundation of that is also to need to learn to decondition and to redefine. And if you're interested in these topics, like go listen to some of the episodes I published in the last couple of weeks. These will be very, very helpful with that part. But in order to actually learn the habits that you need to be learning to navigate your quantum leap successfully, you will have to first decondition, and specifically decondition everything that no longer serves you from that old life, from how things were. So for example, maybe you were conditioned to work a lot, and that is what brought you the $1 million, and now they're here, but you're realizing, okay, now like actually working hard doesn't really fit into the picture anymore, and I need so much more time to like spend this money or like do something with this money, whatever. And now you have to decondition this idea of like you have to work hard for the $1 million. Or for example, you become a mum and now you have this, you want to spend time with your family as well. And that is part of the vision. Now you get to redefine, what does success look like for you? Maybe it's not just making X amount of money anymore. Maybe now it's also, yeah, like I want to still make money, but I also want to have time with my family. Or when you're, for example, moving towards more of like a feminine approach in business, you get to decondition the fact that business can only be successful when you're working hard and in your masculine. And you also get to redefine, okay, what does leading business in a feminine way actually look like for me? So that is the foundation of what we need in order to then learn the habits that we need to learn to navigate the quantum leap successfully. And some of these new habits that we need to be learning is oftentimes the exact opposite of what we're used to. So, for example, when you're manifesting the $1 million, now to navigate this quantum leap, you have to learn a completely new relationship with money. So maybe before you've been rather cautious with money, you've actually like put most of it towards your savings. Now, putting $1 million towards your savings maybe is not the dumbest idea, but maybe it's also not the smartest idea, because at the end of the day, you also wanted to manifest that to do something fun with it, right? Or when you're becoming a mom, maybe you used to spend a lot of time by yourself and now you're distracted all the time. So to navigate this quantum leap with ease, you need to learn the habit of actually being present and taking care of yourself while you're being disturbed all the time. Or when you're moving towards more of a feminine approach in business, or you're just shifting the way you're strategically approaching your business, you used to work a lot, you used to not have boundaries. Now maybe you need to learn to trust more, to have more boundaries, to actually be more present with what your soul is calling you to do, instead of following some outlined strategy from someone that didn't have the exact vision for their life that you have for your life. So I will leave it to you to decide what specific habits you will have to learn to navigate your personal quantum leap successfully and honestly. If you do desire support in those regards, I invite you to schedule in a one-off session with me below. Unbecoming, my one-off session, is designed to help you unbecome who you no longer are and become who you are meant to be. Essentially, it's all about helping you navigate this life transition. So we can definitely dive into helping you understand like how to navigate that quantum leap, your personal quantum leap, successfully, and what things you need to maybe learn and unlearn in order to navigate that successfully and create the outcome that you desire, because it'll be different from person to person and I can't possibly cover all. I've given a lot of examples and I hope they help you a lot. If you are new here, I highly recommend you to dive into the episodes that I've just suggested below as kind of next steps to keep the inspiration going, to keep learning. And then if you've been listening for a while, DM me magnetic on Instagram at tara.fisher for your next step. And then thank you so much for listening. I did really appreciate your time and the support that you give to the podcast. And I really, really hope this helped you to feel a bit more at ease as you're navigating this massive shift in your life. So much love. Bye.